Hi and welcome. My name is Kenny Yu. In this short tutorial, I'll be going over how to configure and set up SQL MI Link. MI Link offers a real-time replication from your on-prem SQL Server to Azure MI. It also allows for an additional read-only workload on the SQL MI side. In SQL Server 22, we are able to do a failover for disaster recovery to SQL MI Link from your on-premise. It also uses distributed availability group technology, which we'll see later in my demo, and offers a one-way replication to the Azure MI. But first, what we need to do is we need to configure a network infrastructure to support MI Link. And one of the supported infrastructure is the VPN tunnel. Here you can see that on my test machine here, I use a RAS server hosted on Windows Server, and also it happens to be my AD server, and I also have SQL Server sitting behind. My internal networking is 192.168.8.2, and on the other side, on the Azure side, I have the virtual network. Also it's hosted in the South Central. So the IP address for the internal is 10.0.0.0/16. So just one thing, if you do decide to configure a VPN, just make sure those IP address does not overlap each other from your internal and on the Azure. And also so I have a VPN gateway with a public IP address and a VPN connection and a local network gateway. I'm not going to go into too much on how to set this up. The reason is there's just a lot of material on the internet, and each infrastructure has a different type of networking setup, and pretty much is pretty similar. If you have an appliance, if you're using a RAS server, or yeah, so things are pretty similar in terms of setting a VPN tunnel, but I'm not going to go into that. But yeah, let's jump into the demo here. All right, so here I have SQL Server 2022 running on-prem. One of the first thing we need to do is enable the always-on availability groups checkmark here. And then we want to add two parameters, the 1800 trace flag and the 9.567. The first trace flag is just if the primary and the secondary has different sector size, that can cause a performance issue. So we want to add that. If you have the same sector size, you don't have to. These are two recommended flags. The second one's the 9.567. I believe that's enable compression doing auto seeding for performance. After that, yeah, let's take a look on the SQL Server side on the on-prem and see what else. All right, so once I'm back into SQL Server Management Studio, I'm running version 19. Once I have that, I'll just copy these scripts from the Microsoft website here. The first thing is to check the version, make sure the version is correct. My always on flag is on, and then also the two trace flag that I previously set in the startup parameters. Those do require a restart of SQL Server, so just kind of be aware if this is a production server, you want to schedule a downtime to restart those servers. The second thing you do need to add is a database master key. So I have added that. Once after that, we're going to go and take a look at some of the network configurations, and then we just do some networking tests and make sure those are. All right, so I'm just going to take a quick look here on the Microsoft website to configure SQL Managed Instant Link preparation. I do have my site-to-site VPN configured. And one of the things we need to do is allow 5022 to communicate. So these are the rules we need to add to our NSG on for the ports to be open for at least inbound communication. And then and also the port ranges that's listed here. And on the on-prem side, we just add these two rules on the firewall for the Windows Server. And then what we're going to do is going to go run and copy this script and run it on the SQL MI side to return the information about the SQL MI, and then we're gonna plug it into this script with the return values here, and this will be tested from the SQL Server side to the SQL MI just to make sure the communications is allowed. After that, we'll do some more testing here. We're just going down. This is the true value we're expecting, and then we can also run a test from the SQL Server, creating an endpoint and do the TNC test to verify the ports are open. Then also, what I'm going to do is just run this script. The script also will add a job on the SQL MI side, and you want to enter your on-prem SQL Server address, and then run this, create the store procedure if you like. If not, you could just kick off this job. But and what the store procedure does is just runs the jobs and just returns the value for the connectivity, and we're expecting true. Once after that, all those are completed in terms of testing. So the first script I'm going to be running is just to see if I from the SQL MI side, just grab the information about the networking and the ports and the node currently on the MI. And once I get that return values, and you can see I did run it, I'll get these three ports, the node and the port. I'm going to just copy it over into my second script that will be running on the SQL on-prem, and just to test and make sure it returns true values, and it did the true values here. And then the one of the next tests I'm going to do is just create the job that from the SQL MI side, just make sure it could reach this SQL server using this IP address, which is my local on-prem. And what it does is just going to create a job called net helper. You can actually just kick off this job here and look at the history and make sure it ran successfully. Or in the documentation, also created a store procedure, and in this store procedure, what it does is just creates this job and just returns the value of the connectivity. Measure just parses it and just gives you a true value here. That's about it. And after that, we're just gonna go and all right. So once all the networking and all the infrastructures are sorted out, this comes the easy part. You just select database you want to be to create the MI link. We'll just select replicate database here. And this will just give you a quick description. It does use the 5022 mirror import to do communications. And it looks like I do have all the prerequisite checked here. The validation has completed. I'm just going to select the database I want to use. I'm going to sign into my Azure account that's hosting my Azure MI. I'm going to use my account here, and it's just going to quickly get the SSO. Password's bad. All right. Let's see if it prompts me for my MFA. Probably should. That does. All right. Looks like prompted me. And once the MFA finishes, now it should bring me to the selected manage instance in my subscription. And so I have one set up currently in the resource group, SQL Server 22 in this south. And I'm just going to select that one. I'm going to use the existing certificate I already created earlier when I tested. It's going to create an availability group and a DAG, the distributed availability group. The way it's going to communicate is using the certificate. And then I'm going to just go finish. Then it's going to just join the hyperlink. So I'm going to pause this for here, and so we're back. Looks like we got all the check marks. That is good. I'm just going to close here. And what I'm going to notice here on my on-prem is I'm going to see an availability group here, which is the DAG, and the replica, which is just the currently the primary on-prem, and this is the database that I'm currently replicating, and then also gonna see the secondary on my DAG environment here. Um, and then I'm gonna be able to, if I go down to my MI, I'm gonna just refresh this database here, and then I'll have all the database that I'm replicating now in all the tables. So there you have it. That's how you create a SQL MI link. Yeah, feel free to reach out with any questions. And the last part of my slides here, I'm gonna be. All right. Thank you for watching this short tutorial on SQL MI link. And I enjoy presenting these. If you have any feedback, please let me know, and I'll see you guys next time.